All right, it's starting to get real. What I mean by that is I turned 48 this week. I've been at the corporate insane asylum for 24 years. So literally half my life. Also, literally almost probably this week, literally 30 years ago, I graduated high school. And I am within, there's a little bit of, we'll go into that later, but I don't know if it's going to be June 12th or June 18th, or if I need to go to the next pay period. Either way, next video I do probably will be, hey, I gave my notice, here's what happened. I'm hoping, because there's some stock option thing on June 2nd, they don't immediately walk me out, but if they do, so be it. Notice these new shades. What is this? This is a Ray-Ban. Wow, James, you're rich. No, not really. Literally, I picked these up yesterday from the eye doctor because, not really I needed them, but my employer, for the little bit of eye insurance that they cover, they will cover, it's not even the full thing, it's like $130 for a prescription pair of glasses or sunglasses once a year and an annual checkup. Well, obviously, I'm going to take advantage of that, so make sure you do as well. Also, the little preliminary things, colonoscopy, yep, got that done. Dentist, I even went to the dermatologist just to say, hey, look me over. Freckles, anything look weird? Lebowski, anything look odd? Went to a life screening, one of those things where they check ultrasound, any aneurysm potential, everything from testosterone to liver function to kidneys, all of it. Did that. One more. And I want to say it's like June 8th or something. My last one, and that's just my yearly physical annual checkup. Okay, why am I blabbing on about this? Just because everyone, before they take the plunge into leaving their job, early retirement. I'm not really doing early retirement. I kind of prefer, like I said, that I'm just checking out of the rat race and going to do something simpler, like we've talked about before, from the farmer's market, everything else. But take advantage of the matrix to escape the matrix. I think that's the biggest thing. A new roof, yep, done that. The little off-the-grid thing that I always bore you guys with, yep, did that. Well, what about your wife's vehicle, okay? 7-year warranty, 7-year, 150,000 mile warranty. Well, James, what about your truck? I just put a new engine in it, 100,000 mile warranty. So, in other words, you can't ever cover everything, but at least cover everything you can. And lastly, I will just say really quickly, and I know I've done this before, but again, I used a different app from work since they keep pushing AI, just to say, what do you think of my plan? And again, we'll go into the more details after I leave. For obvious reasons, I can't really go through all that before I leave. But after I leave, I will go into a lot more of my own personal details. We'll see where the chips fall. But again, AI is saying, hey, dude, what about this? What about this? Did you do this? And I'm like, yep. And they're saying, okay, here's what the average is. Here's where you are. You are at an excellent position. Let's see. And then I asked it, I just said, hey, choosing the whole barista fire, barista, again, like making coffee, fire, financial, independent, retire early. Again, I'm not really retiring early. I'm just doing something simpler with my life. I just can't justify the accruement of more money to buy more crap. I don't know. It's ran its course, let's say. And again, it's not like, oh, you bum. Okay, I've been doing this for 30 years, 24 in the last corporate job. I mean, I've already checked my Social Security, and they've said, hey, James, you've paid more than most people ever pay in Social Security. Okay, again, we'll talk about that later, but point being is, this is not like, hey, I'm 25, I think I want to get out of the matrix. No, not hardly. Again, 48, yeah, that changes things. But let's see here. So I asked it, I said, look, it's kind of stupid, right? Barista Fire, and the barista part of that is like, you leave a high stress, high income job to do something like, they type in barista because the old adage used to be Starbucks. Because Starbucks, for I think it was like 20 hours a week, you get full benefits. So a lot of times people would quit like a highfalutin job. They end up like a barista at like Starbucks, and they're like, what in the world? Well, I'm doing this 20 hours a week for spending money and benefits and insurance. Oh, so that's why they call it Barista Fire. Yes. We'll go into that. I'm not going to work at Starbucks. Again, we'll go into that at a later point. I've already been signed up for Medi-Share, not Medicare, Medi-Share. That's me and my wife. Insurance, again, maybe it's not insurance, whatever they want to call it. I've had a few friends doing it, but full benefit, and it's a pretty high deductible. Like I want to say it's like $11,000, $297 a month. Not bad for you and your wife. Yep. What's the catch? We'll talk about it later. And plus, I'm in it, so we'll find out, I guess, if it backfires on me or something. But when I bounced off Blue Cross Blue Shield, same thing, about $11,000 deductible. It was $1,100 a month. Ooh, $1,100 a month versus $297 a month. Well, there's got to be a catch. Maybe. We'll go into that later. But again, going into the whole Barista Fire, I plugged in basically saying, hey, dude, me leaving this good, secure job, it's probably dumb based on XYZ, right? Okay, AI. And this is another form of AI. Again, work has us doing a lot of different AI versions where they put their money into it. So it's a little bit better version, but this is the other secondary AI, which kind of substantiated what the first one said. Choosing Barista Fire, James, is not dumb. It is a recognized strategy for prioritizing mental health and time over maximum wealth accumulation. And then it kind of goes into my specifics. Not going to bore you with this. Let's see. And then I actually said, I said, okay, here is XYZ. Hit me with it. I probably should stay a little bit longer, right? And it basically was saying, nah, dude, it makes no sense. Sorry, let me get to the main point here. Whoops. Of course, it like spits out all this stuff. It basically says, at 48 years old, with X amount of finances, worst case, if you have a terrible garden season, because I plugged in everything from, here's the scenario, here's the money tied up, here is my Medi-Share, here is us doing the off the grid, my wife's little barely for profit coffee shop, and it's saying, hey, look, worst case scenario, even if you have a terrible garden season and you don't sell a single piece of firewood, another thing that I typed in for the fall, you are mostly bulletproof. Now, it's funny, it says bulletproof, that was its words. Since the goal is to escape high anxiety corporate life, watch out for farmer stress, don't overcommit, the 1 year rule, You're in a position most people dream of. You've traded high anxiety for high autonomy, and the math says it's a very safe move. Now, the one thing, and then it goes into some other details. The one thing that I also did, just for fun, I took this AI and I fed it back into the other AI. And I said, what do you think? And the other AI said, for the most part, we agree, but I would not call it bulletproof just because there's too many unknowns. Okay, fine. But either way, I am far from, what do they say now? A recent study came out. People say, oh, you now need 1.6 million to retire. Again, that retire word is very relative, very subjective. Hopefully, Lord willing, as long as my health holds out, I plan on doing something till the day I die, but it just won't be high stress, corporate, all that junk. But with that being said, the 1.6 million, okay, I can't say a lot, but in a month, once I leave, I can then basically spill the beans, say, hey, look, here is everything. Here's what I make. Here's this, here's that. But let's just say I am in a pretty good spot, make more than the average, all that stuff. And I haven't got close to 1.6 million. Where are these people dreaming these numbers up at? So the whole thing is a little bit of a straw man or straw woman. But point being, we'll see what happens. If anything, I just hope that me documenting this little journey will kind of, if it doesn't blow up in my face, will encourage other people just to kind of do the same thing. I mean, I just cannot fathom when the government says, hey, we recommend you work until 70. 70? And then you can look at like health span. When is your good healthy years, before you get into those, what you got your go-go years where you're up and at 'em, you're still got lots of energy, strength, health. Then you got your slow-go years, you start slowing down. Then you got your no-go years where you basically aren't doing anything, kind of like yesterday. I'm off this week. I should have started with that, which again is fun because there's a huge P&L review. I've covered almost all of them. I got everyone prepared. And then last I heard yesterday, it was just a SHIT show. And I'm like, dude, I'm like old dude in this racket, very old. Me and one other guy are the oldest in the entire team of about 40 plus people. Not a young person's game. So I'm like, how can you guys not get with the program? But anyway, who cares? I am off this week, which means I'm getting paid. The big P&L review is tomorrow. Hey, have fun. I'm not even checking email. But point being is this 70-year thing is horrible. It makes no sense. Like the same study will say, hey, when you hit about 63, I think it's 63.9, so upper 63 years, usually your health span starts to go downhill, which means your good years, your healthy years are starting to slip away. But then the government's still saying work till you're 70. In a capitalist system, though, it makes sense because they need the monster to keep working, paying your taxes, doing this, doing that. So I'm going to end it here. I've blabbed on enough. But point being, we're getting really close. And I'm very excited, a little bit nervous. Because again, somebody's like, James, you're 48 this week. You at least need to do a couple more years. Why? Says who? So either way, forget this whole when people say retire early, they're looking at doing some at 62 or 60 or 58, 48. You're an idiot. Awesome. Well, watch me make a fool of myself and crash and burn, and then you guys can be like, hey, I told you so. But if not, maybe it can be something you guys can kind of piggyback off of and you know, enjoy life. Life's too short. So see what happens. Anyway, the weather here is perfect. I'm about to go up to the garden. Just waiting for it to cool off just a little bit and plant one of the big garden areas, and a story for another time. Thank you.